February 25, 1942. In the dark sky over Los Angeles, sirens screamed. Searchlights crisscrossed above the city. Anti-aircraft guns thundered. Explosions echoed across California's coast. For nearly 2 hours, American forces fired more than 1,400 shells into the night, convinced that enemy aircraft were attacking. But when the smoke cleared, there was nothing. No planes. No bombs. No wreckage. This is the story of one of the most mysterious nights in American history, the Battle of Los Angeles. A night of fear, confusion, and a mystery that still fascinates the world 80 years later. To understand what happened that night, we must first step back in time to early 1942. Just 12 weeks earlier, Japan had launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, dragging the United States into World War II. The West Coast was on high alert. Rumors of Japanese submarines and air raids filled newspapers. Civil defense drills were constant. Los Angeles, America's largest West Coast city, was preparing for the worst. Anti-aircraft batteries lined the coast. Thousands of spotlights were installed. Every home was instructed to cover windows during blackouts. The city that once glowed with Hollywood lights now lived in constant fear of the next siren. The night of February 24th began quietly, but at around 2 a.m., radar operators picked up what they believed was an unidentified object 120 miles off the coast. The Army's Western Defense Command issued an alert. Possible enemy air raid approaching Los Angeles. Citywide blackouts were ordered. Power grids shut down. Searchlights were switched on, cutting through the darkness. At 3:16 a.m., anti-aircraft batteries opened fire. For the next 90 minutes, chaos ruled the sky. Tracers streaked overhead. Shells burst among the searchlight beams. From Santa Monica to Long Beach, the entire coastline lit up like a battlefield. Thousands of citizens, awakened by the noise, rushed outside, some praying, others watching in awe. Many thought they were witnessing the start of the Japanese invasion. By 3:30 a.m., over 25 anti-aircraft batteries were firing into the sky. Police phone lines were jammed. Newspapers later described it as a city under siege. Some civilians claimed they saw silver aircraft hovering above the city. Others swore they saw bombs dropping into the Pacific. But official observers and even military radar couldn't confirm any targets. Shell fragments rained down onto homes, cars, and streets. Windows shattered. Fires started. The U.S. Army's anti-aircraft guns kept firing, determined to defend the city from an enemy no one could see. When the guns finally fell silent after 4 a.m., more than 1,400 rounds had been fired. But the sky was empty. When dawn broke, Los Angeles was covered in smoke and confusion. Citizens walked outside to find streets littered with shell casings and debris. Several buildings had been damaged. Tragically, 5 people lost their lives, 3 in car accidents during the panic, and 2 from heart attacks. But there were no bombs. No enemy aircraft. Nothing. The military scrambled to explain what had happened. At first, officials insisted that the city had been attacked by Japanese aircraft, but no wreckage was ever found. Hours later, the Navy released a statement calling it a false alarm. The press, however, wasn't satisfied. By the next morning, newspapers exploded with headlines. Enemy raid on L.A., mystery air attack, anti-aircraft guns fire on invaders. Photographs showed beams of light converging on a glowing object in the sky, the image that would later feed decades of UFO speculation. The Los Angeles Times reported eyewitnesses describing hundreds of planes and mysterious lights moving in formation. Others said they saw nothing at all. The public demanded answers, but officials gave only contradictions. Some military leaders said the radar picked up weather balloons. Others blamed nerves, smoke, or even drifting clouds. In truth, no one could fully explain what triggered the gunfire. In the weeks that followed, the U.S. government launched an internal investigation. The Army's conclusion was cautious. The incident was likely triggered by a weather balloon that drifted over the city, amplified by jittery radar operators and nervous gunners on edge after Pearl Harbor. But to many Angelenos, that explanation felt incomplete. How could trained soldiers mistake a single balloon for hundreds of aircraft? Why did radar reports show movement from multiple directions? And what was that glowing object seen by thousands of witnesses? Decades later, the debate continued, especially after the rise of UFO studies in the 1950s. The famous photo published in the Los Angeles Times, showing beams of light focused on a round object, became one of the most analyzed images in UFO history. By the mid-20th century, the story of the Battle of Los Angeles had taken on a life of its own. Some believed it was an early UFO encounter, that unidentified flying objects had triggered the barrage. Others speculated it was secret U.S. military technology being tested. But historians largely agree. The most likely explanation remains psychological: a city on edge, soldiers ready to fight, and radar signals amplified by fear. The night sky became a mirror reflecting America's wartime anxiety. 80 years later, the Battle of Los Angeles remains a powerful story, not of alien invasion, but of human emotion. It reminds us how fear can shape perception, how confusion can become chaos, and how the line between vigilance and panic can be thin. It was a night when an entire city fought shadows and learned that not every light in the sky is an enemy. In the end, the only true invader that night was fear itself. This was the Battle of Los Angeles, the night the sky fought back. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. We'll see you in the next one.